Hi everybody, it's Kathy here, and I am doing a group of photos and group of layouts that I'm going to call So This Was Christmas 2024. But unfortunately I'm starting with the 2023 photos because I didn't have 2024 photos at the time, but I'm just going to pull it into that bundle because it is going to be with my Christmas layouts. So I am using a double-sided sheet to create this one, and I am just using the one double-sided sheet to make my base. So that's a little bit different. I'm going to have wood grain on one side, and on the other side there's like a starburst or a dot pattern, which I am going to use as the second side. Now, I did create this way back in the beginning of December, and it was for a Scrapbook Fantasies challenge to use a giant tree on the layout, but it's taken me this long to get it all together and put it together into a video format for you. I am apologising for my voice. I'm not 100% well. This flu has gotten hold of me. I'm feeling better today. I'm out of bed, which is a bonus. So I do apologise for my voice, and I hope I will get through without too many coughing fits, which you'll see me disappearing off and restarting again. So I'm putting down both sides, and because the papers are kissing each other, I don't like that they're sitting there flat, so I'm taking out these strips, which we all collect from the bottom of our pieces of paper. The great, what do you call them, branding strips, or the zip strips, whichever you would prefer to call them. And I'm using those to butt the papers so that they look like they join nicely in the pattern, and also to create a little bit of a focal point on the layout. The one here that I'm putting down now with the holly leaves actually comes from this piece of paper itself, and it is a Kaisercraft paper that I'm using. So I'm now going to prepare my photos and also the strips that I need for my trees. Now, I will apologise because towards the end my camera runs out of battery, and luckily I realised not too late, just miss a little tiny bit, which I will talk you through the final video part of what I added in that time frame. So with a strip of paper, I'm starting my base of my tree, and what I'm doing is I have cut them at 1 1/4, and I am rolling the edges. Now I have inked that edge of that rolled paper because I didn't want the white by itself, but I do want a bit of detail. My next thing that I'm going to do is I've decided that I'm going to rough it up because I just want it to be not flat on that panel of my layout. So I'm just using my distressing tool to rough it up, and then I'm going to ink it up with the, what's it called? The smoke one. I can't even think of it right now, but I will come back to it throughout the layout and remember what one it is. Scorched timber, that's what it is, scorched timber. See, I knew I'd remember it if I stopped and thought about it. So I am using up strips of paper that I have in my Christmas scraps. So I have an envelope full of Christmas scraps from all my Christmas layouts that I do. And so this is a great way of using up your scraps. And I'm using 1 1/4 inch strips, as I've said, and I'm just building them up the layout for the tree. So as I've stated, each of these strips are 1 1/4 inch, and I am rolling the ends. So I do them longer, and then I trim them down to the size that I want. Then I rough up the edge because I want the roll to be smooth, but I do want the piece of paper to have that little bit of interest with that roughed edge and the scorched timber with the ink distressing. So I don't know about you, but I have lots of scraps that I'm always looking for ideas to use them on. What do you think? Do you keep scraps? If you do, what do you do with them? Leave a comment down below. I'm curious to see what people do, and also I want to know if you want to learn some more ideas of what to do with the scraps as well. So this process is it is time consuming, but the effect is worth it. The distress tool makes it easier, but if you don't have a distress tool, you can always use the edge of your scissors or your nail, which I have done on different occasions. The ink distressing just adds that little bit more dimension, a little bit more interest to the strip, and it breaks it up and carries on with that weathered look that you see in the wood grain behind it of the tree. So rolling paper is an old technique. We used to do it when we first started and thought we were really great in experimenting with the papers. So it's always nice to go back and use the original founding techniques, I think, and bringing them back into today's layouts is always a nice bonus. And if you have never experimented with paper and you're a little bit scared to, rolling is a good way to get started. I know that when I first started experimenting with paper, that's what I was doing. Now, ink distressing, when it comes to inks, if you don't have inks but you want one that's going to be very versatile, the scorched timber is amazing, but so is gathered twigs, or if you're a Kaisercraft fan, pine cone as well. They're my staples, they're my go-to, they're the ones that I like. They give a nice smoky edge to your layouts and they give that vintage aged look. You can use black as well. I do use black on times. It's a bit more harsh and a bit more stark. It's just depending on your colour palette of your layout as to which one you choose, but you can't go wrong with the scorched timber or the gathered twigs. I find they work beautifully no matter what papers you're using. So as you can see, the tree is slowly building, and what I'm doing, if it's a little bit longer when I've cut it, I'm just tucking it in under that border strip there, because I want it to all just fit nicely. Now I didn't want it intentionally to be a full tree. I wanted it to appear like a half tree. That was an intentional choice. I just wanted to build it up, and I like the fact that it's a bit rustic looking when it is all coming together. So as you can see, using the distresser here is quite easy. It does make the edging a lot easier to do. One thing with the distressors, they do put up a lot of paper dust. So you see me brushing that down, which is the only negative when you're doing that sort of artwork into your layouts. Now, I'm just almost to the top of the tree here, and I'm just going to go back and drag in another strip. What I try to do with all my layouts and my papers is that I try to choose the colours from my photos so that my photos still pop on the page. And that's really critical, because I often get people saying, oh, the page is so busy, I like it, but it's not my style because it's too detailed, and all those sorts of comments. Well, that's true. For some people that is, and that's great. That's their style. But I always make my photos my focus. And the way I make my photos my focus is by choosing my colours of my papers from my photos. So I always start with my photos. I don't start with my papers, which a lot of people start with the papers. The only time I'll start with the papers is when I've built a base. And this year, in 2025 coming, you will be able to see how I'm using the base pages as a start for my Keeping It Simple series. I'm revamping it for a Thursday. I'm taking it to the basics again. I'm starting with base pages. So I just want to show how simple it is to pull together some simple layouts using your scraps, and also using some simple techniques. And hopefully you'll find something inspirational by checking in on a Thursday for those. So as I said, this month, I'm doing, so this was Christmas 2024. Now, it'll probably go longer than this month, because throughout the year we do Christmas in, and I keep adding it to that playlist as well. And I'm just building my photo mounting now. So I've built the main part of my tree. I will come back to the tree shortly because it's not finished yet. But I want to get these photos onto the page first so that they are sitting, and then I can embellish around them. I'm just trimming down my photos. These photos were of myself, as I said, in 2023, taking selfies. Now, it's always important to take a selfie because, as I say, if you're not in it, it didn't happen. And the biggest problem with us as mums and the photo takers, we often don't get into the photos. So it's really important that we're a part of it as well. So I have made a concerted effort of making sure that I'm in a lot more photos. Because when my children were younger, I was hardly in any photos, and that's a bit sad. I would make sure that my husband was in it, my mother and my father were in them, but me, myself, I was not in a very lot of them, and that is really sad because there's not those memories. They're memories to me because I remember the photos being taken and the events we were at, but for my children, there's not that much of me, and so I'm now making more of a concerted effort, and this really came home when my dad passed, and there's hardly any photos of us at all. And so I'm really, really very conscious of building these memories for my children. So I've now double mounted it, and I'm going to put it over here to the right, and I want it right against the edge. I want it to butt right on the edge, but then I want it to overlap onto the tree. So you can see that the page then flows across. And a horizontal across the page is always a good eye drifter and making you come back and check out the whole layout. So I'm just inking up the edges of this mounting frame, and then I've cut a tab which I'm going to tuck in behind so it looks like it's an index card or a memory dex card. And that's always a good way of adding some layers and some interest to your photos and building up the bases around them so that they're not just sitting flat. Now, I'm just going back and making sure that the inner sides of the rolled papers are inked as well so that they don't stand out stark white. You can now see that my photo is going to go against there, and I've decided that I'm going to pop it up, and that's great because I can tuck things in and under and around. Now, these foam dots are amazing. I am in love with them. I think they're fantastic. I can cut them if I want them smaller, but they're just the right size and they're the right thickness. So I'm going to have to go and purchase a whole heap more before they disappear off the shelves again, and make sure that I have a stash for the year. All right, so there's my photo in place, and there's my tree built, and now it's time to embellish it. And what I've done is I've gone off camera and I cut out a piece down the bottom to create the base of the tree like it's the stand of the tree. I fussy cut out some trees, and I also grabbed that dark green one at the bottom out of an ephemera pack. These trees here I've decided to pull in at the back because I was at a local Christmas shop and I was checking out the decorations at the time. That's why I have that beautiful Christmas tree in the background. I wish I had a beautiful Christmas tree like that. And I was taking the photos, and you can see me taking the photos because it's reflected in a mirror. So I thought that was a great idea. Very important that we take selfies of ourselves and include them, because remember, if you're not in it, you weren't there. That's what history will say. I've die cut out some stars, and you can see my dies to the left, and I have put a collection of them onto the tree, and the foam dots allows them to pop up off that background of the tree and give that extra shadowing on the layout. Now I've also put in some little word phrasing. They say merry, bright, 'tis the season, and that's really good as your decorations on your tree as well. Now I have these foam stickers. They're puffy. They're not very sticky, so I will go back and stick them down, and I do apologise now because the camera will die very shortly, but you'll see that I don't miss that much when I realise what has happened. So all I did while off screen was finish off the title with those puffy stickers. I added in the date, and I also added in a little bit of journaling about always taking the selfies. I put in some gold pops of colour, which I flattened to look like Nouveau enamel drops or enamel dots on your page, and that is how the tree has come together. So I hope I've done something here to inspire you. If you do like something that I've done, please give me a thumbs up, and if you aren't already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It costs you nothing, as Mel W says. It costs you nothing to subscribe, it costs you nothing to like, but it does help my YouTube channel get out there a bit more. So I really do appreciate all my subscribers who keep coming back, and I'm hoping that this series will interest you and get you scrapping your Christmas photos. Because I don't know if you're like me, you have a million photos on Christmas and you don't always really think with it. So thanks once again for watching. Here's my next video recommendation for you, and happy scrapping until next time.